So we're getting ready to do a roast in in the SEDONA Elite 3200, the 2023 model. We've got the I preheated it and it's a little hotter than what I want, so I'm letting it cool down for just a little bit. But I'm getting ready to charge another roast, and what I'm roasting right now is 6 pounds of Peru coffee. So I welcome you to join us as we get ready to roast that. Right now it's been thoroughly preheated, but I do not have the burners on. I'm getting ready to start my roast. I'm starting at an artisan. I'm resetting my timer. I'm going to go ahead and charge the beans. And of course the artisan will automatically record the charge. It'll also record the turnaround. I've got my airflow at about 2.5. And now I'm going to go ahead and kick on the igniter, which is basically turning the burners on. And this needle valve adjusts your voltage. I had it at about 50% when I turned it on. I'm going to bump it all the way up to 100%, which is about 232 volts. And we're going to kind of keep an eye on how long it takes for the turnaround and also for the end of the drying phase. Usually the turnaround is within a minute to a minute and a half, somewhere around a minute and 15 seconds. On gas roasters, it may be a little different on electric roasters. What we're finding on this 2023 electric roaster is it seems that they have more power than the older models did, and you might be able to do 5 roasts per hour. Electric is becoming more popular for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is many countries are having issues with getting gas, or the price of gas skyrocketing. Another one is they can use solar energy for electricity now, like they're doing with cars, so you have less issues with the ozone and the atmosphere. So that's another reason why they're becoming popular. So we had a turnaround at 170 degrees at 51 seconds, which is a little bit faster than traditional. So I'm actually going to bump back our voltage maybe to about 85-90%, so that our drying phase is not too fast. And I'm actually going to bump up the airflow maybe to about 3.5. And you'll see at this early stage that may slow the temperature, the hot air temperature, the air temperature running through the drum a little bit, but you always want the bean temperature to continue its rate of rise. And if I feel that there's too much voltage going into heating those elements, which right now is at about 212 volts, I may cut it back, because the last roast I did with this new 2023 model, I didn't anticipate it having as much power as it does, and I ended up with about an 8-minute roast, which is okay, but I'd rather go with 9 to 12-minute roast myself personally. Allow the development of the beans. But I did have a nice development time during the mallard phase. The roasting phase did not last as long on the last time as I'd like to have had it last. And I dropped it at about 225 degrees. I was doing 6 pounds of Papua New Guinea. We can see the rate of rise is still pretty fast. So I'm going to bump it down to about 80%. And we're at about 194 volts right now. I'm also going to bump up the airflow to a little bit past 4. And it still seems like the rate of rise is pretty fast. I don't know if they added more burners to this or more wattage. I need to check into that. But I'm going to bump this back to about 185 volts. And at the rate we're going, it's probably going to be about a 5-minute drying phase time, which is kind of like where I like it, so that's good. And this is 6 pounds, it's not a full 7-pound roast. So it's slowing down a little bit, which is good. I didn't want it going too fast. I'm going to come over and take a look at the beans and how much chaff may be in the unit. It shouldn't be real bad, a little bit, because we do have the airflow set at a little over 4, which is good. So we're looking probably at about a 5-minute drying phase time, maybe even a little more than 5 minutes. Yeah, we slowed it down quite a bit when I cut it back to 185 volts, which may be a nice place to keep it with 6 pounds. If you were doing a full 7, you may want to go a little higher, depending on the amount of time you want to do the roast. So here we are. It just now hit 320, the end of the drying phase, and that turns out to be at 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm actually going to bump up my airflow just a little bit more. I'm going to bump it up to about 5.5. And looks like we're still keeping a good rate of rise, not real fast, but we want to have a nice smooth mallard or browning phase. And if you realize you slowed it down too much, you can always turn up the voltage on it. Right now I'm okay with what we've got. According to Artisan, it may go into first crack at about 8.5 minutes at the rate it's going, which is a nice place to put it. I didn't mention anything about my drum speed control. We've got the drum speed control set at 70%. Some folks may turn it up 5 or 10% right around the time it goes into first crack. Also, some may cut back their gas a little bit, or in this case, their electric a little bit when it goes into first crack. We'll just judge that when we get to that point. In the electric roaster, it seems we need to keep a better eye also on our air temperature, because there's times where the bean temperature isn't as hot, but the air temperature is way up there, and because the beans are falling through that air temperature, they're heating much faster and may actually appear to go into first crack a little earlier than normal. I'm not real sure what the typical first crack time is for this Peru coffee. I'm going to guess somewhere between about 380 and 395, but we'll see. I'm actually starting to hear first crack right now, which is right at about 380. So a lot of people will bump up their drum speed. I'm going to go ahead and bump it up about 5%. And some will choose to bump back their heat. I'm going to bump it back just a teeny bit, maybe to about 170 volts. And I'm also going to bump up my airflow a little bit to about 70%. And now is the key time to really start keeping an eye on the roast in the front of the roaster. I don't think with the lighting you're going to be able to see the beans through the viewing window like I can, but I'll try to pull these out so you can see them hopefully a little better. We have a nice even light to medium roast. It's at about 415 degrees. I'm actually going to take this up to about 425. The hot air is at 456. We're at about 9 minutes 50 seconds, so looks like we're going to do about a 10-minute roast. We're almost at 425. I'm turning open we're turning on the cooling. Take another quick look. Yeah, I like what I see. It's at about 429. My heat is going off, and I'm dropping the charge. And that's 6 pounds of Peru coffee. Not sure how well you can see it or even if it's in focus, but it's a nice, even, full city plus. Brought it up to about 430 degrees. It should make it real nice Peru coffee. I really like the new 2023 electric models. They are definitely are much faster than the old. We did 6 pounds in 10 minutes, and that's with the gas, or I should say the electric heat, cut all the way back to almost 50% at the end of the roast. These particular beans are really big, so 6 pounds is almost taking it to the top of the cooling tray. So you may want to judge that with the type of beans you use on whether you go with a full 7-pound or a 6-pound roast. But there you have it. The SEDONA Elite 3200 All Electric 2023 Roaster.